in Lincoln, our team makes it easy to get your flu shot and protect the people you care about most. Book your appointment now by clicking the SIU Family Medicine icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, this is Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. The state provides funding to schools each year that goes towards specific categories like transportation and special ed, but those funds are getting cut this year. Clinton School Superintendent Drew Goebel explains that he and other superintendents have been informed that the state will not be funding 100% of those categoricals, although funding is not being cut entirely. He says this is a very big deal. However, it should not make a big impact on his district.
Yeah, and this happened several years ago where the state stopped funding 100% these categoricals. So a categorical, these are not federal dollars, these are state funds. And that's things like reimbursing for transportation, reimbursing for special education, for facilities, for like transporting our students to alternative facilities for special ed.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, food service. So those reimbursement dollars, I was at a meeting yesterday with the Illinois State Board of Education, Matt Seaton, who is in charge of this. And he, in a room full of superintendents, said that they are not going to fund 100% of these categoricals. Now, that is a big deal. And fortunately, the local taxes and the levy and honestly, I'll just, I've said this before, because we have a power plant and that contributes a huge portion of the revenue that the school district gets, that is very helpful. I think things like Quickwall coming to town, and that is going to increase the EAV, the property value. I think the recent announcement of the Meyer structural utility, the electrical poles that are going north of town, those things are going to increase the value of the property value of DeWitt County. And then when I file the levy, which is coming up here real soon, the tax rate for Clinton, and I've said this over and over again, is extremely low. We have a very low tax rate. But if we have industry and we have industries moving to Clinton, that's going to increase the property value of DeWitt County. We're going to apply that exact same low rate to the increase in property. And then the school district will in turn get more revenue.
Goebel indicates that taxpayers should not be worried about the school increasing their taxes. He points out that the county's wind turbines provide additional revenue to the district.
So we do have wind turbines, not like Mount Pulaski has wind turbines, right. But yeah, that is additional revenue that the school district is receiving. I do not see us raising taxes or changing that rate. And again, the state hasn't came out with what the exact reimbursement rate's going to be. So I mean, it is real. Different categories, according to Mr. Seaton, will be reimbursed at different percents. It's not going to, from what I understand, it's not going to be like a flat across all categoricals. We're doing a 20% decrease. It's going to be transportation's going to get this much less. Special ed reimbursement is going to get this little, so that, and I've talked about this, the school district doesn't just get a lump sum of money and so spend it however you want. We get money, so much money goes to this, and then you get so much money that goes to that. So there's different funds. So if they would decrease how much money we get in transportation, for example, we'd be fine because we're in better shape in transportation. But if they stop giving money for the education fund, and we've talked about this, we are not in great shape in the education fund, and we do working cash transfers every single year to account for that deficit. in the ed fund. So I would have to adjust based upon what the state's going to give us in those categoricals.
Goebel reminds that this will not affect their budget this year, but they will see the lack of funds next year. Learn more about Clinton schools at CUSD15.org. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Community Action reminds of Hand Up Project. While it isn't going to be the driest on record, October finished very dry. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates October was a very dry month.
Yeah, if we look at the month so far, we're 1 3/4 inches below normal for October. So we're keeping that dry theme going. It doesn't look like we're really going to finish out the month even close to. So it's not the driest on record, but it's when you're looking at the entire month of 1 3/4 inches starting off so dry that we're going to see the drought conditions continue all the way into the late fall, probably even early winter. Just not seeing any signals for a lot of precipitation, looking forward here either. So, yeah, there was some rain on the 7th, and then nothing really of significance till the 18th, 19th, where we had just about a little over 1 inch there. But after that, it was trace. A couple of traces, and then nothing. So, really, just 2 rain events this month, which is not enough, starting out so dry.
Most of October was rather pleasant thanks to plenty of sunshine throughout the month. Shimon indicates that over half the month saw conditions favorable to partly or mostly sunny.
Driest, top 10 is number 10 is 1.04 inches, so we've already a little bit more than that. Warmest, 64.7 degrees is the warmest, and we're at 60.1. So where does 60.1 fall? The 7th warmest all time, October. 7th warmest. And then we'll have to see where the rest of the month falls. But right now we're in 7th place, warmest October.
Wow.
Normally right around there. We haven't had the below normal days for this month in terms of average temperature overall. There's only been 7 days below normal. And that was just 1 degree, 1 degree, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. So we've had the vast majority have been double-digit above normal days.
Most of October was rather pleasant. As we get into November, we'll have more with Shimon later this week on the traditional winter months outlook. Visit weather.gov/Lincoln for more information on weather data and forecasts. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 19 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. One of Clinton's local nonprofits is committed to supporting low-income people and families without giving them handouts. Silas Taki with Community Action explains that this is where the Hand Up Project comes in. Anyone who chooses to participate in this program is paired up with a coach who helps them identify barriers in their life and helps them figure out how to get around them or work through them. The purpose of the Hand Up Project is to help people reach their goals.
The Hand Up Project, through that, you would partner with one of our personal development coaches to reach your goals. We help you identify roadblocks that might be keeping you from your successful future, and then we help you create a vision for that future. Typically, they are older people who are trying to get back into the workforce, people that might be down on their luck, seniors who are trying to apply for Social Security benefits and things like that. But we do serve anybody 18 and older. Typically, we'll just sit down and kind of get to know each other. There isn't some intake paperwork process and stuff like that. You do have to be income eligible. But that first conversation is just us sitting down, kind of getting to know each other. Tell us your story. Tell us where you want to go. And then we start to go through some of our coursework to help you decide actionable steps to get towards what your future is. I'll work with somebody, and then one of their friends or their relative or somebody like that will reach out. But typically, we get all sorts of calls at Community Action about people that need different kinds of assistance or help in some way. And a lot of those can kind of work through the Hand Up project to get there on their own or with some support.
Once you have completed the intake process, Taki indicates that there is some coursework to be completed. He notes that it's not for a grade, but it rather encourages you to do some self-reflection.
So we have some coursework that was built specifically for Community Action. It's called Grow Me. That's kind of some self-reflection coursework. So after that first meeting, we'll kind of determine how often that we should meet together, and we'll work through that coursework, which is kind of designed to just help you self-reflect on, where things are now and where you want to be. It is psychologically based, so it has a lot of elements. It'll talk about different studies. We'll start with setting goals and start with where do you want to be next in your life? What's your next role in life? And we'll start really small, thinking about like, what do you want to build onto? And then as it progresses, we'll get to like, all right, now that all these things are going on in your life, how do you deal with the stress of those things? Or, everybody's going to have certain triggers in their life. And we think of trigger as a negative word, but a trigger is anything that can kind of provoke you to have a response, right? So we try to think of positive triggers, like something that's going to remind you to move forward instead of something that keeps you stationary. But we can help people with building resumes, getting them onto job sites and getting their resumes linked to those sites so that they can easily apply. Then we also have scholarship opportunities. So if you're being held back from a job because you don't have a GED or you don't have the right qualifications like a trade school or a college degree, we do have scholarships that can help finance those kind of things.
The start is often the hardest part of any journey to reach your goals. Taki mentions that the success of a person in this program is completely dependent on their buy-in and willingness to put the work in, especially outside of their meetings with Community Action.
Well, I definitely have some individual success stories, but I'd say the biggest success that we see is when we start to get people down that road, and you kind of see people open up and you see them kind of take accountability for their situation and kind of jump in. And really, the amount of buy-in that the customer has is how far they're going to get. That's where that Grow Me coursework comes in. So that Grow Me coursework, like I said, it's designed for kind of self-reflection things, but it also will say like this week, set a goal, come up with incremental ways to reach that goal. And then at the next meeting, we'll discuss that and how that's been going, roadblocks that they encountered along the way, successes, things like that. So it definitely meets people right where they are. I work with people who are experiencing homelessness right now, and I work with people who are going back to school for their master's degree. So really, no matter where you are on that spectrum, if you feel like you're kind of stuck in a situation, then we help you think through those feelings of being stuck and get that engine going so you can move forward.
These are all ways that Community Action is giving people a hand up rather than a hand out. Keep it to the Heart Media Group in the days ahead to hear more from Taki on those efforts. To learn more about the Hand Up Project and all the programs offered by Community Action, visit capsule.info. An Illinois FFA member wins a national FFA event. Micah Lands from the Prairie Central FFA chapter claims the top individual honor in the Farm and Agribusiness LDE.
So, the Farm Business LDE or Leadership Development event is basically at nationals here. They give you like a a resource. They call it the resource information of like a farm that they've picked from the nation. And they give you all their numbers of, all the farm's numbers of their finances and whatnot. And then they go through and make questions about that maybe it's a multiple choice, or there was a lot of like problems of if they changed something, what would that do to their numbers and different stuff like that. And then after that individual test, we took a team test together for our team event. And that was more of the same pretty much, or maybe what they could do to improve their farm and different ideas we gave them.
What do you think the keys to your success were?
A lot of time spent studying, and also we have a very good coach that helps us and does an excellent job of teaching us what we need to know.
Prairie Central took second in the Farm and Agribusiness LDE team competition. The application process is open for the Illinois Farm Bureau Rural Development Grant Program.
We've got $120,000 in total that we'll be awarding this year to worthy projects across the state that are focused either on economic and community development or quality of life projects. And so really excited about that. But we launched it in terms of applications when opened up on October 1st, and they'll be open till December 1st. And already we've just had a significant number of inquiries that have come into our county farm bureaus, to us directly, and through other venues of just asking about the grant program. So there's a lot of interest and excitement about it. I think we've got like 15 to 20 applications that have already come in, which is great. And I know with any grant program, we'll have many more that come as we get closer to the deadline, but we're just really excited about how the program has kicked off.
Illinois Farm Bureau's Ryan Tate says the grants will be awarded in conjunction with county farm bureaus and their local partners. For more information about the program, contact your local county farm bureau or email rdgrants@ilfb.org. Again, that email is rdgrants@ilfb.org. Now for your local obituaries. Patricia Ann Wolf, 73, of Chillicothe, Illinois, passed away at 3:32 p.m. October 30th at the Ark of Chillicothe. Graveside services will be 10 a.m. Thursday, November 6th at Mausoleum Park Cemetery in Clinton, with Adam Brucker officiating. The family has entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with arrangements. Memorials may be directed to the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Philip W. White, 70, of Clinton, passed away at 9:43 p.m. October 28th at his family residence in Clinton. No services are planned at this time. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with cremation rights. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Bonnie Arlene Lichtenberger, nee Hickerson, passed away peacefully on October 22nd, 2025. Graveside services will be held on November 15th, 2025 at the White County Memorial Garden in the Garden of the Good Shepherd at 11 a.m. Pastor Greg Grant will preside. A later memorial service will be held in her hometown of Gold Canyon. Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton is in charge of arrangements. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's DeWittDailyNews.com. Coming up next, the weather report, followed by network news. It's now.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 62. Westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 37. Tonight, mainly cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 65. Tomorrow, mainly clear skies. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Right now, 41.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Government shutdown day 34, tied for the longest closure ever, having an impact on some Americans, including air travelers facing flight delays and cancellations. Food aid for tens of millions is also at risk. President Trump is threatening Nigeria with military action and an aid cutoff over the persecution of Christians. A 32-year-old man faces attempted murder and other charges following a stabbing attack on a train. It wounded 11 people in England. The suspect also allegedly assaulted people at a London mass transit station before the stabbing attack on the train. 2 people have been killed in Russia's latest attack on Ukraine, an attack targeting the country's power infrastructure. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 3 points. NASDAQ futures up 164. More details, srnnews.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello overcame 2 early turnovers and scored 34 unanswered points to bounce Paris 48-16 in the first round of the Class 3A high school football playoffs in Monticello Saturday afternoon. Nolan Benny-Kemper had his first pass of the game and the game's second play from scrimmage intercepted and returned to the 11-yard line by Dawson Rogers. Carter Cripps took the Tigers' first play from scrimmage in for a touchdown, and Paris went up 8-0. Benny-Kemper then had his third pass of the game on the next series picked off. However, the Sages defense forced a turnover on downs in 4 plays. Monticello answered when Benny-Kemper knifed through the Paris defense like a Ferrari in Chicago traffic and made it 8-7 on an 18-yard touchdown run. After the Sages defense held Paris again, Maddox Utley scored from a yard out to put Monticello in front for good. A 56-yard wide receiver screen to Young set up Utley's score. On a double reverse flea flicker in the second quarter, Benny-Kemper found Hayden Romano from 44 yards out to put the Sages in front 20-8. Monticello then started the second half with back-to-back scores when Utley scored on an 11-yard run, his second touchdown of the game to make it 27-8 with 8:06 left in the third. Benny-Kemper found Braden Wood in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown at the 4-minute mark of the third quarter to extend the Sages' lead to 34-8. After Paris got a touchdown in the fourth quarter to get within 34-16, Benny-Kemper scored from 37 yards out to answer the score and put the Sages in front 41-16. The Sages concluded when Forrest Rodden scored on a 31-yard run to make it 48-16. Benny-Kemper finished 8 of 17 passing for 226 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also ran it for 85 yards on 15 carries and 2 touchdowns. Utley had 70 yards on 8 carries. He was the State Bank of Bement player of the game. Zeke Young went over 100 yards with 141 yards on 4 catches. Romano had 2 catches for 52 yards with a touchdown. Paris ends the season 6-4 overall. Monticello moves to 8-2 overall and will travel to Tolono Unity for second-round action next Saturday. Hear all the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Caleb Williams was prepared to lead a game-winning drive to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Not only did Coach Ben Johnson warn against being surprised if the Bengals were able to rally from double digits, the second-year QB knew that posting a come-from-behind win in a shootout was one of a few things this year's Chicago Bears had not accomplished. Williams connected with Colston Loveland for a 58-yard touchdown with 17 seconds left to give the Bears a 47-42 victory on Sunday in a wild game that featured 3 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes and 2 lead changes in the final minute. Joe Flacco put the Bengals ahead 42-41 when he threw a 9-yard touchdown pass to Andre Lazivas with 54 seconds remaining, setting the stage for Williams. Chicago took over on its own 28 with 50 seconds left. After a pair of incomplete passes, Williams scrambled around the right end for a 14-yard gain. On a first down with 25 seconds left, Williams found Loveland down the middle. The rookie tight end caught it at the Bengals 36, bounced off Cincinnati defensive backs Jordan Battle and Geno Stone, and ran to the end zone. Loveland, who had 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, said he was surprised he was still upright after the hits by Battle and Stone, and he knew he needed to score if possible. Williams also had 53 rushing yards and became the first starting QB in nearly 82 years with multiple receptions in a game. He caught a touchdown pass from DJ Moore on a trick play for the first score of the Bears and hauled in a 20-yard pass from the backup quarterback Tyson Bagent in the fourth quarter. It's the first time since October 19, 2008 against Minnesota that Chicago has won when both teams have scored at least 40 points. Flacco threw for a career-high 470 yards in the second straight excruciating loss for Cincinnati, which had not scored 40 points or more in defeat since falling 51-45 at Cleveland on September 16, 2007. Following last Sunday's 39-38 loss to the New York Jets, it was the 6th time dating to last season the Bengals have scored at least 30 points without winning. The Bears appeared to be in good shape after Moore's 16-yard touchdown run made it 41-27 with just about 5 minutes left. Flacco was intercepted by Chicago's Tremaine Edmonds on the Bengals' next possession, but the Bears went 3 and out, and the 18-year veteran led a scoring drive that took just 32 seconds. Flacco found Noah Fant for a 22-yard touchdown with 1:43 left, and Higgins caught the 2-point conversion pass to get the Bengals within 41-35. Joseph Asay recovered the ensuing onside kick after it went off the leg of Chicago's Daniel Hardy to keep Cincinnati's hopes alive. The Bengals took just 49 seconds to take the lead on Flacco's drive to Las Vegas. Rookie Kyle Monangai rushed for 176 yards on 26 carries as the Bears piled up 576 yards of offense against the Bengals squad that came in ranked last in total defense. Monangai, a 7th-round draft pick, got the start with DeAndre Swift sidelined due to a groin injury. Monangai finished with a 6.8-yard average and already had 100 yards on 16 carries at halftime. Chicago rushed for a season-high 283 yards and averaged 7.6 yards on the ground. Britton Brown, called up from the practice squad for the game, had a 22-yard touchdown run late in the third quarter to put the Bears up 31-27. Rico Dowdle made one mistake on an otherwise splendid afternoon. Dowdle and Carolina Panthers kicker Ryan Fitzgerald made sure it didn't prove costly. Dowdle rushed for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, and his big run in the final minute set up Fitzgerald's last-second 49-yard field goal as Carolina beat Green Bay 16-13 on Sunday to climb above 500 and snap the Green Bay Packers' 3-game win streak. It was the second time this season that Fitzgerald, a rookie from Florida State, has made a game-winning field goal as time expired. He hit a 33-yarder in the Panthers' 30-27 triumph over Dallas on October 12th. The loss could prove costly for Green Bay. The Packers' star tight end Tucker Kraft was carted off the field with a knee injury in the third quarter. Carolina, a 2-touchdown underdog according to BetMGM Sportsbook, bounced back from a 40-9 home loss to Buffalo. Fitzgerald and Dowdle both had to redeem themselves from setbacks earlier in the game. Dowdle's second touchdown of the day gave the Panthers a 13-6 lead late in the third quarter. He celebrated that score by thrusting his hips twice, an homage to the Key and Peele sketch, and was called for unsportsmanlike conduct. Fitzgerald's ensuing 48-yard extra point attempt into a swirling wind was well short, keeping Carolina's lead at 13-6. So when Green Bay's Josh Jacobs scored from 1 yard out on 3rd and goal with 2:32 left, the Packers didn't need to go for 2 and tied the game on Brandon McManus's extra point. After Carolina got the ball back, Dowdle's 19-yard carry on 2nd and 10 from midfield set up Fitzgerald's kick. Panthers coach David Canals said this past week that Dowdle would get the bulk of the carries after splitting time with Chuba Hubbard. Running behind an injury-riddled offensive line, Dowdle delivered against a Green Bay team ranked 3rd in NFL in rushing defense. That wasn't Canals' only pregame move that paid off. The Panthers usually defer when they win the coin toss, but they took the ball first. As a result, Fitzgerald's game-winning kick was much easier than the jumbo-sized extra point attempt he missed in the third period. Green Bay had itself to blame for the loss. Kyle Larson knew he wasn't going to catch Denny Hamlin in the final laps on Sunday, not without the sort of help that only a caution flag can bring. Larson got his lucky break. Hamlin only got heartbreak. Lawson is now a two-time NASCAR champion after denying Hamlin what would have been his first career title when a late caution at Phoenix Raceway sent the championship deciding finale into overtime. Without that caution, which came with 3 laps to run, Hamlin had it locked up and was ready to finally shed the label of greatest NASCAR driver to never win a championship. But fellow title contender William Byron got a flat tire and hit the wall to bring out the caution, and a few minutes later it was over. When the caution for Byron came out, Hamlin led the field down pit road and got 4 new tires on his Toyota. Larson only took 2 tires on his Chevrolet. It meant Larson was 5th for the 2-lap sprint to the finish, with Hamlin back in 10th. It's a second championship for Larson, who won his first title in 2021 when he joined Hendrick Motorsports. It's the 15th Cup title for the organization and came on the 30th anniversary of Jeff Gordon giving Hendrick its first championship in 1995. See highlights of your local high school sports programs by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platform, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Let's check Ag News on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLaw's Yonke. Grain and soybean futures were higher last week, Friday to Friday. December corn gained 8 1/4 cents. March was up 7. January soybeans are up 55 cents. March was up 50 1/4. That's after more than 20-cent gains the week before. December wheat in Chicago was up 21 1/2. KC was up 23. At least part of the move higher over the past week was related to trade news. Meanwhile, though, the U.S. Senate voted to end the president's global tariffs, including that on China, sending the measure to the U.S. House, and the Supreme Court may eventually have the final word. Our Washington correspondent, Matt Kay, reports.
The Senate voted 51-47 to end Trump's declared national emergency in April to impose global and reciprocal tariffs, including on China and other major U.S. ag trading partners. 4 Republicans joined all Democrats in voting yes. Finance Committee top Democrat Ron Wyden sponsored the joint resolution, which the House won't take up until next March, if then. Wyden.
Donald Trump's actions clearly go beyond what the law allows, which is why I'm urging passage of this bill to finally end the president's unlawful tariffs.
Finance Chair Mike Crapo argued the measure on the heels of Trump's soybean deal with China and deals with other Asian nations would upend Trump's ongoing efforts to break down trade barriers.
President Trump is saying these countries need to take down their tariff and their non-tariff barriers and deal with us in fair and free trade.
Crapo says long-running trade barriers haven't been addressed till now.
It's no secret that for decades, countries around the globe have raised tariff and non-tariff barriers against Americans and against American businesses, and have raised the cost for Americans and American businesses without response by the United States.
The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments in 2 cases against the Trump tariffs this week to decide if he has emergency tariff authority under a 1977 law. For the RFD Radio Network, Matt Kay, Washington.
Thanks, Matt. The federal government shutdown is now in its 2nd month and close to the longest all time. Meanwhile, though, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Ag Statistics Service on Friday said it will release several reports this month, including an always highly anticipated November crop report. Ag Statistics will release its crop production and world ag supply and demand estimates November 14, according to a post on its website. Originally scheduled for the 10th, it was unclear going into last week if it would be released at all because of the government shutdown. The report will have the first estimate of corn and soybean production since September. Also, the Ag Department said it